Welcome to the Business Development Podcast, brought to you by the Global Business Development Association, delivering the strategies and tactics to boost your career and corporate growth.
Hello, BD pros, and welcome to the Global Business Development Association's podcast called What is Business Development? Now, look, folks, I've said this many times before on this podcast. Business development is a team sport. And as the Global Business Development Association, we try to bring all of those team members under one big, beautiful tent. And we have so many associations now rapidly growing around the world that are local to specific markets. And I've also emphasized many times before, the business development body of knowledge by the Global Business Development Association will give you competency that's global. We can all be on the same sheet as music around the world as business developers. Pick up the phone, contact, and work with each other on common basic principles. But if you want to be a success in a specific market, you need to understand the social norms. You need to understand the local best practices. And most importantly, as a team sport, you need some great contacts in that market, some great fellow business developers to help you succeed. And today we're bringing one of those fellow business developers. He's a leader in the Israeli market. And our guest today is Gilad Liptz. He's made great relationships, and great relationships are great for business. He's hands-on as a business development salesperson, project management, partnerships. He started off in project management and about 12 years ago entered into the business development profession. He's also not only hands-on, but head-on with strategy, leadership, negotiation skills, and most importantly, in this profession, it's all about building trust. And what is trust? It's the fundamental foundation for love. And he's heart on with relationships and networking. And he is the founder of the BizDevExec Club, located in Israel. And it's designed to help all business development executives in that market succeed. It's a group of Israeli business development executives and leaders in Israel and abroad. And the goal is to provide an accessible community for collaboration, networking, hiring, and business opportunities. We love business opportunities, and we love to hear how we can get some of those great business opportunities from Gilad today. So Gilad, welcome to the show.
Tony, thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, and we're slowly making our way around the world to all of the organizations. We had BD Pros in New York City with Gary Anzalone. Gary's the founder of BD Pros, which originally started as the International Business Development Association. And by the way, they just started and launched a new chapter in South Florida. So if anybody on this call is listening and wants to go to South Florida or is in South Florida, go to BD Pros, connect with them, and join that organization. We also had the business development associations in other parts of the world, and Africa that we've engaged with, in Europe that we've engaged with. So I'm super excited to have you from Israel, Gilad, and talk to us a little bit. First off, how did you start in the business development profession, and why did you create the BizDevExec Club?
Yeah, well, great, Tony. I'll start from the beginning, I guess, or what I think is the beginning. So you mentioned my background going back 12, 14 years ago in project management. Actually, I was on your side of the globe. I was based in just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, relocated with an Israeli company. And at the time, oil prices were very high, and there was a lot of IT investment in the oil and gas industry. And I was responsible. I led the implementation teams doing oil and gas projects. And into these vast projects, we had our project plan. I was the vendor, I had a customer, and I managed to work the works. But then I slowly noticed that there are more players in the game. By way of example, the Accenture of the world, the SAPs, the Deloittes. And I said, just a second, if they're essential to the game, If I go out and have a beer with Accenture, and right, you have beer with Accenture, that's part of the game, that's great, that's where business is done. I don't charge the project for it, right? Or if I sit down with PwC and run a 2-5-year plan, that doesn't fit in the Gantt. It's got to fit somewhere else. And that's where I started drawing this mental theoretical box. And I was looking for a name for this box. And I said, wouldn't strategy be a good name to kind of hold greater things, greater than the project, greater than the Gantt? But within strategy, what do I do? And it literally, Tony, took me a good 10 years to understand that maybe what I'm doing is business development. So throughout the whole decade, coming from project management, first step was, as I described, working with partners, acknowledging the importance and the challenge of working with partners, then long-term planning, initiatives, new territories, new products. Well, maybe I'm a business developer. So that was the 10, 12, 14 years evolution that brought me to where I am now, where I call myself a business developer, or at least presume to call myself a business developer.
I love that story because it maps so closely to my pathway as well into the business development profession, Gilad. I started in project management. I think I saw my first business developer in the wild in 2001, and I thought, I would love to do that. And I think I'm actually doing some of that right now in my job. And then it took me 10 years to break into the profession. And folks, it's great to see organizations like BizDevExec Club coming together with GBDA, the Business Development Body of Knowledge, because the whole objective here is to lower the bar for entry into our profession. If you're a project manager and you're thinking, I'd love to be a business developer, now you have a pathway to do that. You don't have to wait 10 years. You don't have to figure it out on your own like Gilad for 12 years going, I think I'm doing business development, but I'm not sure. Can I call myself a business developer? Now you can. Okay. This is so wonderful that what you're doing at the local level in your country, in your community, and the diaspora as well. It's just fantastic.
Thanks, Tony. And you actually hit the nail on the head there. Wearing donning the hat of a business developer, I just paused probably somewhere around the 2019-ish time frame, and I asked, do I actually know what I'm doing? Even 10 years into it, and I said, I'm not sure. And wouldn't it be fantastic? Well, if I could hire a coach, that'd be great, but do I have the budget? Is there that capacity? But wouldn't it be absolutely fantastic if I had a community to reach out to, a community of business development experts that I could go back to my bosses and say, hey, there's a community of 50, 100, 500 business development professionals here that I reached out to, and together they helped me to put together a strategy. So that was, and I think that's exactly what you're talking about, this vast network of professionals. We are here to help each other grow and build a profession. And this was one of the key vectors that brought me to found the BizDevExec Club back in 2019. If it's okay with you, I'd like to share a personal story to add to that, because I think there's that personal flavor, which we probably call relationship. So to that very professional, clear business, may I call it capitalist aspect of business development, which is fine because that's the profession of developing the business. I had a good friend, worked way back together at SAP. He was a tremendous guy. He still is. Unfortunately, this friend of mine called Doron, back in 2019, went out to the Judean desert. As he was about to help his cousin who suffered a fear of heights, Doron slipped and became paralyzed. Oh. When I reached out to Doron at the rehab, he was on a call with a French multimillionaire trying to get a donation to the hospital. And I said, that is probably what I need to do. How can I connect the capital as a business developer with the support to the individual? And doesn't that then build a community? Putting the professional aspect alongside with the individual being in the focus, the forefront. How can we help each other, which is what we're here now on the call discussing. How can we all help each other be better business developers for the greater good? So just wanted to share that professional aspect that I believe adds to the context of the BizDevExec Club.
Yeah. Wow. Gilad, such a powerful story. And it resonates with me because I post on LinkedIn. I tell people I'm on a peacekeeping mission, and people say, well, I don't get it. You're a business developer. What does that have to do with peacekeeping? And I tell them a famous military axiom that says, if goods and services do not cross borders, soldiers will. And so we as business developments, we collectively are driving the global good, not just the goods, not just the goods and services. We are driving good. Hey, we're sharing. We are building trust globally as business developers, sharing the best of what our cultures, our countries have to offer. And we're helping everybody out as one team. And it brings the world together. It unites us because at the end of the day, fundamentally, you start off in the first few pages of the business development body of knowledge. Business development is trust building. That's it. No deal ever gets done without one iota of trust. If you don't have trust, the deal will never get done. And so we're trust builders around the world, and we're peacemakers. So Gilad, that I love that story. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a team sport. Everybody loves to share tactics with their teams and what works, what doesn't work. And so I always love to bring folks on the show and hear what are their top 3 tactics? What are the top 3 takeaways in their mind as to what makes a great business developer? So I'd love to hear, if we can, your number 1 tactic.
Sure. I would say a business developer should sing. Okay, let's just pause. Let's just linger on that. So let's break down sing. S-I-N-G. The S would be the significant contribution to the business. We're not the marginal one more deal. Nothing against more deals. We're all into more deals. But the significant aspect of business development is about the frog leap, the needle mover, you name it. That is the S of waking up in the morning and singing. BizDev must have a significant contribution to the business. The IN would be the innovative, something new, not more of the same. There are so many people, great people, important people in the organization who wake up to their same day job. Fantastic, essential, crucial to the business. There's got to be one guy or a team or an entity that wake up and say, no more of the same. We're going to be the innovators, whether it's brand new, whether it's renew. And I always give myself the example of my wife has a pair of jeans in her closet that she wore probably 5 years ago. Maybe those pair of jeans are back in fashion. That is the art of daring and saying, let's renew something. Why? Because it could make a significant impact. And now over to the G of the sing. So significant, innovative, G goes to growth. Business developers contribute to growth. We're not operational, with all due respect to operations. We are measured by the overall return on investment. We got to be patient enough, ourselves as business developers, the organizations in which we work, to bear with us for months, years, 5 years out to demonstrate the overall ROI. And if you wake up in the morning and you have some kind of balance of SING, significance, innovative growth, you're probably doing business development. So that's my first kind of tactic of make sure you wake up in the morning and you sing your way through the day. Easier said than done, but that's significant, innovative growth.
Yeah, I like that. All right. SING, significance, innovation. N stands for?
So the N goes with the IN. So it's
IN. Okay,
innovative. Gotcha. I had to put something together. Actually, one of my students said, hey, it's actually SING. So it's the S for significant, IN for the innovative, and then the G for the growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Significance, innovation and growth. Sing. Well, I'll be singing that acronym all day long because that really embodies a lot of what the business development professional is all about. Significance, meaning in the business development body of knowledge, I reference that as purpose. Do you have a valid purpose? And purpose is what humans are fueled by pure purpose. This is what makes us motivated every day, and it's not just a nicety to say. It's actually neuroscience. Purpose triggers dopamine. Dopamine is the purpose drug. So every time we achieve a purpose, we have a little flicker of dopamine that triggers in our mind and continues us down that path on that purpose. And it's what wakes us up in the morning and puts a little pep in our step and makes us sing throughout the day, because also the innovation piece is constantly looking at the organization, the processes, the relationships with the customers, the relationship with the community, and saying, what can we do better? What are the competitors doing that we're not doing? What are the customers saying that they want? What are the prospects saying that they want? We need to innovate, because all of that comes together in growth, that measurable return on investment of growth. And that's what we're all judged on is the organization growing? Are we contributing to that growth? So I love the sing as your top takeaway there. Is there a number two, or is number two blended in with the sing acronym?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go with number two. And number two goes to the fact that we keep looking for the win-win. And I think that's fantastic. So the two BizDev reps from the both parties say, okay, we think we got something good and we think it's a win-win. And in comes the director and says, yeah, well, it's a win-win for both parties and it's a win for the customers. Well, of course, it's a win-win-win. And in comes the VP and says, well, my grandmother always thought about doing business with IBM, so it's a win for my grandmother too. And we're all about winning, which is fantastic. Where are we willing to sacrifice? Mind you, lose. So it's fantastic to look for the win. We're all looking for the win, and let it be a mutual win. That's the art. We must remember, easier said than done, that in every win, we must invest, we must sacrifice, we must reprioritize. And I think the biggest fault in my BizDev career is in a contract where both parties, self-included, constantly, stubbornly only looked for the win. And I can say the only person who won is the lawyer managing the contract. Everybody else lost. The contract fell through. The partnership didn't actually happen. The lawyer won a hefty amount, but almost the greed of constantly looking on what can I take more from the partnership without that willingness for the other party to benefit caused this specific, and I still have the scar tissues to fall through. So win-win is great. You don't need to lose. You need to identify the investment in order to facilitate the win.
Yeah, wow. Gilad, I could tell you're a fellow business development philosopher, because this was something that drove me down this path as well. If you look at the modern business organization, and I'll say up until about 20 years ago, you had the typical structure of the CEO, the CFO, the COO. Okay. Now, ask yourself, what is the primary objective of the CEO? The chief executive officer's role is to advocate for the shareholders, right? That's their mission. They are reporting to the shareholders. The CFO, well, they're advocating for profitability, the financial viability of the business. Very selfish oriented, right? Inward, about the business, about the corporation. What about the COO? Oh, well, their objective is to make sure that they run their operations profitably. So they're focused on what's in it for the company. And I asked myself, who in the boardroom is responsible to the customer? Who advocates for the customer? And then I realized, wait, this is the role of the business developer. And the most senior business developer now, it was a title that came around in the late 1990s, is the chief growth officer. That chief growth officer is the advocate for the customer. Now we have somebody who walks into the boardroom and says, well, it's great for the company, but it's a horrible thing for the customer. So we need to change the way we do business because we're not helping out. We're not advocating for our customer. And that trickles down to the individual business developer. Our mission is to be the advocate for the customer, the advocate for the prospect, so that when you're sitting there in a boardroom deciding, are we going to sell this product to customer XYZ? And we say, it's the wrong product for them. This is not the right solution. It does not help them achieve their purpose. We're not being empathetic. We're not listening to them, and we're not being truthful. Purpose, empathy, and truth, these are the fundamental components based on neuroscience that create trust. If you have no trust in the relationship, that deal will fall through, just like the deal you mentioned, Gilad. And so this is such a powerful thing, is to be, if I may paraphrase what you said, is to be the advocate for the customer and the prospect so that it is a win-win relationship. And yeah, there may be people in the company who say, well, it's not a really great win for us. Well, too bad. That's not my job. My job is to advocate for the customer and the prospect. And I'm here to keep us all on a path of success and be able to lead to growth. And we're only going to do that by building trust in the community with customers. So very powerful there is the win-win, going for that win-win and constantly keeping that in mind. Okay, what's number 3?
So the number 3, and you kind of alluded to the significance and the value that comes along with business development. Now, I found that the term value is a pretty profound term. We're all looking for value. Is there any way to simplify the value? So by now, and you notice the SING as an abbreviation, I'm trying to come up with yet another abbreviation to simplify the concept of value. And what I'm attempting to share is what I call WYW. Is it worth your while? And I'll give you an example. This morning, I was actually on a long 3-hour ride, driving down south to meet a partner. And I was on a call with my CEO, and we were trying to figure out how to price a certain offer, a certain SaaS product. And we couldn't actually come up with a good value proposition. And isn't that the pinnacle, the essential job of the business developer is to put together the value proposition? All honesty, we couldn't crack the nut. So we tried to simplify it and ask ourselves, what would be worth our customers' while? And sure enough, we came up with, it's not only going to be a monthly subscription, it's going to be a monthly subscription that comes along with 4 hours of consultancy. And suddenly, it makes sense because we expect the customer to say, you know what? It's going to be worth my while, or worth your while, essentially saying that's value. So the concept, the profound and essential concept of value being maybe at times challenging to grasp, I would therefore offer breaking it down, softening it up a bit, and asking ourselves back to what you just said, what would be worth, dear customer, we want to do what's going to be worth your while. And maybe by paraphrasing that, it makes the whole business conversation, the whole value-driven conversation more palatable and hopefully worth your while.
Yeah, I love that because it's a natural progression down from the win-win environment. And yes, you want it to be a win-win. Now, will it be a great win for you as the company? Probably not 100%. Will it be a great win for the customer? Probably not 100%. But it gets down to, is it worth your while? Is it worth your while as the corporation? Is it worth their while as the customer to pay that amount and establish a sense of value? And in the business development body of knowledge, again, you are a profound business development philosopher because you're thinking about these fundamental elements that people always say, well, everybody uses the word value. They throw it around every day. Value, value, value. And, you ask people, okay, what does that mean? Well, I really don't know what it means. And so in the business development body of knowledge, we characterize value as simply a measure of the trust that you provide to a prospect, because you could provide value for free. And so it's a quantitative measure of how much purpose, empathy, and truth are you providing that prospect? Now, when it comes to pricing, pricing is simply matching the price to the value that's provided. If it's a lot of trust that's being provided, well, it's probably going to be a higher price. Okay. If it's lower trust item, it's probably going to be a cheaper price. Okay. And so fundamentally, this is what it comes down to: purpose, empathy, and truth. Are we aligned on purpose with the customer? Are they aligned with us? Do they see us as a great fit for them? Are we empathizing with them? Are we understanding, our product is about 20% of, it's not quite a good fit. The other 80% is right on. I mean, we've got this. They're going to be loving the 80%, but we're just not there at 20%. Okay, well, you're going to have to discount a little bit probably because you're about 20% short on empathy. And then finally, the truth. Are you delivering the truth and telling them, hey, this is the price? And you know what? Sometimes they may not like to hear that, but you're telling them, if you want this to succeed for you, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, this is the price. And that's the truth. I've got to tell you. And so when you proceed in that type of environment, my experience is you end up with, what's in it for me? What's in it for you? What's in it for me? The fundamental negotiation. I love this. Gilad, I could talk to you for hours. Let me summarize your top 3 takeaways, because they're just so fun. They resonate with me. And so tactic number 1, the key takeaway here is sing. Let's sing. Let's sing our praises as business developers. Let's sing together with our customers. And a big part of that is S, significance. Then the I stands for innovation. Constantly be innovating about that common purpose, that significance that you have in your community. And then finally, doing all of that so it creates corporate growth. The official definition, according to the business development body of knowledge, for the role of business development is defined as customer and community advocacy that creates corporate growth. And so it's a double entendre. We advocate for the customers and so that they are successful, but ultimately our mission is to make them so successful that they advocate for us. They bring us referrals converted over 50% sometimes. This is a beautiful thing. This is the ultimate exponential growth factor, is having customers that sing for you. And then the second tactic is win-win. Focus on the win-win. This is not a sales transaction. This is business development. We're offering value. We're here to advocate for the prospect. We're here to advocate for the customer within the corporation. And there are some people in that corporation who may not like to hear what we have to tell them, but it's the truth. We work for the customer. We work for the prospect. Those others in the boardroom work for the shareholders. And then finally, the number 3 tactical takeaway here is what's in it for the customer and the prospect, and what's in it for you. Understanding the value statement, that value proposition, so that they find it to be a compelling price they pay to achieve their own success. Gilad, I think folks can take your top 3 tactics and takeaways and achieve success with these fundamentals of business development. And folks, if you're in Israel, connect with Gilad and join BizDevExec Club. Gilad, how can folks connect with you, follow your work, and most importantly, join BizDevExec Club?
Absolutely. So LinkedIn it is. So either reach out to me personally on LinkedIn or look up BizDevExec Club on LinkedIn. The community itself is a WhatsApp group. So WhatsApp with its pros and cons, and I'm all open about it. But the best way I would assume for business developers to connect is absolutely over LinkedIn.
All right. Well, folks, connect with Gilad on LinkedIn. Connect with the BizDevExec Club as well. We'll have those links in the show notes for you, so you can just refer to those and join the organization and connect with the BD philosopher himself, Gilad, and a wonderful leader within our community. So Gilad, thank you for everything that you do for the business development profession, bringing us all together as brothers and sisters in business development to sing as one united voice in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you for listening to the Business Development Podcast. Join our free community of corporate partners and business development professionals advancing the art, science, and ethics of the business development profession at gbdassociation.org.